This episode of the podcast is brought to you by From Within Records. This summer, Shackled, doubt surrounds all in the USA. I'm so excited to see Shackled hit the road. They're definitely coming to a city near you, so please support that band on their summer tour. Also, Warn, they're doing a tour across America. I'm so stoked to see them in LA in July. So make sure to also support Warn on their summer tour. And just announced, Human Work, the second pressing, will be available next week. So please, if you're not following From Within Records on social media, go boot up your Twitter, your Instagram, click that follow button to stay up to date on all the current news. And the second pressing will feature an alternate cover art, and it will be out of 200 on a random color vinyl. So please, if you missed out on the first pressing of Human Work, please make sure to grab a second pressing while supplies last. Also, if you're a fan of Not One Truth like I am, they have tapes for Purified by Pain. They're limited to 25, and each order will come with a free poster. So go grab one if they're still available. Support that band. They're fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see them live in the future. Summer 2022, One Scene Unity, Hardcore Compilation Volume 3, featuring Not One Truth, Hellbound, Never Again, C4, Chemical Fix, Search for Purpose, Stiff Meds, Fool's Game, Contention, Buried Alive, Live It Down, Gridiron, Adrian, Broken Vow, Nothing But Enemies, Submit, Killing Me, and Wreckage. And I'm still very excited for that. The previous volumes of the compilation have been amazing, and I'm looking forward to the final installment in its trilogy. And like I always say, please support From Within Records because they support us. And if you're looking for high quality merch for your band, for your business, please hit up my friends over at Good Fortune Printing. You can follow them on Instagram at Good Fortune Printing, and you can contact them at contact@goodfortuneprinting.com. Super amazing business out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. On today's episode, we had to track down our good friend Max. He plays in Broken Vow in Montclair. They just dropped their new record, and for anyone who isn't familiar, please, I highly suggest you click pause, go boot up your Spotify, your Bandcamp, Apple Music title, and go stream their new EP, The Stars Will Look Down Upon Us. It's awesome. I love that style of music, and I'm so happy that it's finally out. And outside of Montclair, I have to mention there's so much good music that dropped today. My friends in Denver play in a band called Wide Man. They just dropped 2 new songs. My friends out in the Hudson Valley, New York, dropped their new EP. There's a new band called Means of Survival. Shout out to Tyler. You'll hear from him very soon. Such an awesome band. And our international friends and Speedway just dropped a new track today, which is amazing. I'm so happy that that band's still doing stuff out there. So as happy as I am that Montclair dropped their new EP, there's also a ton of other good music that I hope all of you have had the time to check out. But I love Montclair, and I'm hoping to see them at some point in the future. So support that band. They're new, and they're starting to do a lot of awesome stuff. So strap in, enjoy this conversation. Without further ado, welcome Max to the show. All right, we're live. Welcome to the podcast, Max. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to have you on the podcast. I am a fan. I'm a fan of Broken Vow. I'm a fan of Montclair, and I wanted to reach out to you and have you on the podcast. So I'm happy that you're here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out.
Okay, and I just want to jump right into it with the band Montclair. I'm just curious. Can you talk about how that band started?
Yeah, so a couple, maybe 2 years ago or so. Well, a few years ago, I started doing solo projects. I was really into indie music, and I just wrote music every day after high school and stuff. And then after a little while, that kind of warped into more like rock oriented stuff. And that was kind of like punky stuff, like garage rock. And then eventually I started shifting again towards more like punk rock stuff. And I just hit up some friends from like high school and stuff, and it kind of turned into a band. And then we got Matt on bass, and the rest is pretty much history, I guess.
Okay. And how did you come up with the name Montclair for the band?
I was struggling figuring out a name, and I made like a list of all these names and stuff, and nothing was clicking. And one night I just went for a walk around neighboring streets, and there was a street, Montclair, and I was like, that's pretty good. And then it just stuck.
Okay. And is there any like significance, besides you walking that night to that street?
Not really. I mean, I like that it's close to home, and yeah, I like the name. I mean, there's like the whole thing with like Montclair, New Jersey, and some other Montclair place, but it's not associated with that.
Okay. Well, I like the name. It definitely sounds cool to me. So I think it's very fitting too for the band. Because sometimes when you hear a band name and you listen to the music, it just sometimes doesn't make sense. But when I hear the name Montclair, listen to the music, I think it's very fitting. So I feel like that walk, was a pretty cool thing to be able to inspire the name for the band.
Yeah, that was during COVID, and I was like walking a lot, and just at night especially. So I'm glad it worked out.
Mm-hmm. And was it hard for you to create during those times? Because even though it 2020 was 2 years ago, it still has some lingering after effects. The COVID's still around. I have a buddy who just got COVID a couple weeks ago, but it's just not as serious as it was a couple of years ago with the lockdowns and everybody getting it left and right. But during that time, yeah. Was it hard for you to create music and try to start a new project?
I don't think so. I can't remember too much. It feels like such like a haze kind of. But I think I was just writing. I think I was just creating like a lot. Like I think I just spent that time to especially like focus and create, and just writing like a ton of songs and recording and stuff.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice. It was like, for me, it was kind of just like a break, and I could just like focus on stuff and just go for walks too and have time to do both things.
And the first release, the Life and an Afterthought that came out in 2021, can you talk about how that came together?
Yeah, that was, all those songs were from kind of lingering from like the solo project aspect of it. So I wrote all those songs over like maybe like 5 months or something. During COVID too. And then my friend Nick, who I was in a band with in high school, he plays guitar in Montclair. And I hit him up because he was in Tennessee's doing like music production. He went to school there, and or audio engineer or something like that. And I hit him up to mix the songs, and then he moved back here a couple months later, and then he joined on guitar, and we started writing together too.
That's crazy. How did that conversation go? Because obviously that wasn't your intention when you first hit him up. You just needed help with the audio. So how did he end up joining the band?
I needed someone to mix it because I was trying to mix my own stuff and it sounded like so shitty. And then he sent me back like a mix. I was just like, and he was super hyped because he wanted stuff to work on too. Mm-hmm. So it worked out well. And I think he was like coming back here, and I was like, and we were obviously like, yo, we should hang out and stuff. And then I remember like that night we were just like at his house, and then we were like, yo, we should actually do this. And he was super hyped. And then it was pretty funny. We like got together like a day or two later, and we were like, the first time writing, we were like, we got to like make this like an event. So then we like hiked up with our guitars up to this like mountain ledge and we were like, we're gonna like start writing songs, and none of them turned out good, but but it was fun.
That's wild. That would have been a cool story if the songs turned out good, right? Like, if the songs were like, bangers and people love them. But that's wild. Is that like a normal thing? Did you guys like to travel to certain locations to do stuff like that to get inspiration?
Not really. I wish it was more exciting, I guess. I feel like for me, I just got to write like a bunch of songs or like or like take breaks in between like writing sessions if it's not working out, or just I'll just like write every like couple weeks, and then I'll come up with like one or two songs that I dig, and then we'll like iron them out and stuff.
Okay. And for those writing sessions, do you like to write about very like personal stuff, or try to tell a story?
Honestly, I usually just start writing a song, and I like to kind of work on the whole song like together. If I'm writing by myself, like I'll start on guitar, like write a riff and stuff, and then I'll do like MIDI drums. Like I'll just record everything into like the laptop and stuff, and then I'll just start like singing along like melodies and stuff, and just kind of record like a couple takes, and then I'll like hear different words that come out, and then I'll kind of go off that, and then kind of make it more personal. Like I'll have an idea of what it is. So I guess the song kind of speaks for itself, and then I'll kind of have like a idea of what I want, but I don't want it to be like too literal, because I've gone there in the past, and it's like so cringy looking back.
No, I definitely know how that is. I used to I still write blogs. I haven't written one in forever on my website, but back in the day when I was active on my Tumblr, I used to write like very personal stuff, and I'll go back and look at some of the things, and it doesn't even sound like me, like from like present day Jamie, looking back at my old blogs that I written when I was a little bit younger, and not even that young. Like I'm in like my mid-20s writing this like really cringy stuff, and I was like, geez, what was I going through, and like why did I think it was okay to post this on the internet?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, so I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of writing like super personal stuff. But I guess that's true with some bands. There's like some bigger bands that I like where I'm in love with like the older stuff, the demo, the EP. But when you see them live, they don't even go anywhere near that stuff, because they probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel that. Like I feel like usually anytime I release any music, like by the time I release it, like I'm hyped when I wrote it, and then by the time I release it, I'm like, this is terrible. Like, like nobody's gonna like this, and like think it's really cringy. But
yeah, but I guess it's not really for you to decide, right? Like you can feel that way, but once you put it out, it could be someone's favorite song, and you would never even know.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm curious about the artwork for Life in an Afterthought, and then I'm jumping a little ahead here. You have a new album coming out, The Stars Will Look Down Upon Us. I noticed like both have animals on it. Is there like this ongoing theme, or is that just by coincidence?
Yeah, it was kind of a theme. With the Life in an Afterthought release, like that time we were like super hooked on like the possum. It's supposed to be a possum on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend Sam Swap did that, and well, he originally he made that artwork, and then I hit him up and I was like would you mind if I use this like for the album cover, and he was hyped on it. And then for the new release with The Stars Will Look Down Upon Us, I hit him up to just like make a artwork from scratch. And we kind of gave him just like free reign, and then he came up with this idea that it's like 4 different wolves from like different regions, like coming together. And so it looks kind of similar, but it's not really related. But oh yeah, but around the Life in an Afterthought, we were like really like grabbing onto the whole possum thing. We were like, this will be like our like mascot kind of. But now I guess it's just like different animals, but maybe the next one will have a different animal too. It could be like a different eras or something,
Mm-hmm. And as far as this mascot, are you guys still trying to go with that theme, or did you ditch that idea?
Yeah, we just ditched that. I guess now our mascot is like wolves though. So for now.
Okay, now I'm trying to think. There's not that many bands that actually have like a mascot, because I think
Yeah.
about like like the Wonder Years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, they have the bird. And I'm just thinking in terms of like bands and like our like kind of bubble, but yeah.
Yeah, but didn't like Finch have, the band Finch? They had like Raven or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or like Tiger. I don't know.
but that's cool. I definitely like when bands stick to something like that and kind of keep it ongoing throughout their career, because it's always something cool to kind of be able to see like the bird or the mascot like evolve in with the band in these different eras.
Yeah.
And in 2021, were you guys pretty active with Montclair? Did you guys try to do any shows? 'Cause I know things were a little shaky for like the first half of the year, but I know towards the end things started opening up and more shows started happening. Like, what were your guys' situation like?
Yeah, over that summer 2021, we played like a ton of shows. It was just kind of like we were just like starting out and stuff, and we were just taking like any shows that we could get with like anybody. Like we were playing a lot with like the like indie crowd and stuff. I guess we were kind of more like pop punkish too, for sure. And yeah, we just played like so many shows over the summer. But then we started playing more towards like in like the hardcore crowd during the fall and stuff. And then COVID kind of picked up more and stuff. We just wanted to be more selective and just play shows that were like more worth it and more towards the crowd that we wanted to reach and stuff. So.
And what kind of crowd do you think that is? Because obviously, I feel like with the kind of band that Montclair is, you guys can walk that fine line and kind of dip your toes in either direction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had like trouble at first. At least on our end, we felt like we had trouble like fitting in with the hardcore crowd because we weren't really that heavy. Like we weren't really like we definitely have like hardcore influences, but we weren't like a hardcore band.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure if like we felt kind of like insecure like playing those shows because like nobody moshes for like emo bands, like they'll like nod their head and stuff. Like at least in the hardcore crowd, like and like there's not like breakdowns and stuff. So like when we were playing and like people didn't really know the songs and they were just like standing there, like maybe they're like nodding and stuff, but to me I was like, oh, like they hate us like because nobody's moving and stuff. But then I kind of figured out like, oh, people don't really mosh for like bands like us. So now I feel like now we're just okay playing like any show where like people will dig it. So
yeah, I feel like with those hardcore crowds, they gotta learn the songs because obviously if there's no breakdowns or any heavy parts, the only other option is to like stage dive or sing along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm excited to just like get the music out there because we've been playing these songs for like a year, and yeah, I just want to get it out there and have people hear it.
And you're speaking about the new record, right?
Yeah, it's a 5-song EP.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that you guys were having trouble in the beginning because, from my perspective, all I've seen is, like a bunch of people from your circle, pumping Montclair, like, so much on social media. That's how I got interested because I saw so many of our mutual friends, talking about it so much. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I didn't even know who was in the band. I just, knew that they, were, posting about it a lot. So I just, seeing it so much, I was like, I have to check this out and see what it's all about.
Sick. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out.
And as far as the new record that drops, actually today of this episode coming out, and I'm just curious, like, what that whole process was like, because here we are. 2022, almost exactly a year after Life in an Afterthought. With the timing, was that intentional? And how did you decide to put it out 1 year later?
Yeah, that's kind of funny. we started like recording demos like last summer, and we were hoping to put it out like in the fall of last year. I can't remember exactly why it took us so long. Like originally, at least originally, I think we like recorded drums, and then they were just going to be like demos, and then we ended up re-recording them a couple months after that, like in the fall, and then we re-recorded guitars and vocals like a few times, and then we were hoping to like, get it on like a label to release it, and that just didn't work out at first, and then we were going to do it with somebody, and we had to wait like a couple months kind of for that whole thing, but then it fell through, and so that's kind of why it took so long too. And now we're just like, fuck it, like gotta get it out like as soon as possible. So then we just waited like, oh, and then we had Nick, who plays guitar, he remixed the whole EP too, so that took like a couple weeks or a month or so. So yeah, it wasn't really intentional. Like we were hoping to get it out like so much sooner, but it all worked out.
That sounds like a very long process, and it's pretty interesting that you guys remixed the EP. How'd you guys decide to do that?
Trying to think originally. I think at least what I remember is that once we had everything recorded, Nick was gonna mix it because he mixed the EP too. And he started mixing it, and then we were talking to this one guy about releasing it on like the label, and he wanted to get it remixed. So then we were gonna get it remixed, but then that fell through. So then we were looking around a little bit to see if someone could mix it, but it was like pretty expensive, and we don't have much money. So then we were like, all right, Nick, like you got this, and then he did it, and I'm happy with how it came out.
Yeah. I listened to it when you sent me the link for it, and I was pleasantly surprised because I like the older stuff, but I definitely think you guys nailed it with this record.
Sweet, I appreciate that.
And as far as the label stuff, did that fall through because you guys didn't want to wait for their timing, or what was that situation like? If you can speak about it.
Yeah. Kind of timing wise on both ends. I think mainly he wasn't sure if he could get the money back that he wanted to put into it, I guess. And yeah, I guess he wasn't sure because he wanted to get it remixed originally, and that would have been pretty expensive, I guess. Yeah, and then geez, I'm kind of blanking on everything. But yeah, I guess just getting the money back from the physical copies and PR and stuff didn't really work out. Or like that he was concerned with, because we're still early. This is only like our second release, but I think it's gonna do well for a first release.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, right? When you think about financials, and if a sole person has to invest like their own money into it, I can see why they would be worried about the return on investment. But sometimes you got to take a chance. But I totally get it. But I think Montclair will be fine, especially since up to this point you guys have just been doing it on your own. I'm sure that label stuff will come with time. Just as long as you guys stay busy and get out there more, I'm sure people will start figuring out who you guys are and will catch on.
Yeah, for sure.
And as far as trying to get more active, I know there's the album release show coming up in June, and you guys have a string of shows at the beginning of June. Are you guys excited to start to get out there to do more, and then also to play that record release show?
Yeah, we're super excited. Yeah, we've always wanted to get out there and start touring and stuff, and I think this is a good time to do it for sure. And yeah, super hyped for the record release show. I think it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, pretty awesome lineup. I'm a huge fan of Adrian, awesome band, and I love Spaced.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're so sick.
And I'm just curious how that whole lineup came together. Did you guys have any hand in putting it together, or do you guys just decide that was going to be your record release?
Yeah, it kind of happened like that. Like we were booking a show for the Connecticut date of the run of shows that we were gonna do, and things like weren't really working out too much. And then I asked the Broken Vow guys if they wanted to hop on, and they were down. And Evan was also booking some shows with Ankle Biter and Space, I think he said.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Space and Ankle Biter was down too. And then I hit up Adrian, and they were super down too.
Hell yeah!
And then we kind of labeled the Connecticut show as a release show because we definitely wanted it to be in CT.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah, definitely a sick lineup, and I'm sure it'll be a fun show and be good for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
And as far as Private Mind and Fanfare, how did you link up with them to do this run of shows?
I've always loved Private Mind, and yeah, we hit him up a couple months ago to try to book some shows in March, but it was just like too soon notice trying to book all those shows, and it didn't really work out. So then we started booking it for June a couple months ago,
mm-hmm.
and everything fell in place a lot better. So,
okay.
And Fanfare, I think we hit them up to play a show down in like Virginia, and they said that they would be down to like hop on some shows if we ever wanted, and it worked out because Private Mind could only make like the first couple shows, so then we hit up Fanfare to do the rest of them.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm stoked that you guys are getting out there and hopefully gaining some new interest, especially with the new record. I'm sure when people start to listen to that more, you guys will start to get more attention.
Yeah, I hope so.
And as far as things past June, are you guys trying to do more stuff? Because I know you're going to get a little more busy with Broken Vow, but as far as Montclair, are there other things planned after that June run?
There's not many shows lined up right now, but we're working on some new songs that we're definitely gonna try to release sometime in the next couple months, maybe like September-ish.
Okay, hell yeah! Because I always think it's interesting, right? Because for people who are just like fans of the band, they have to consume your music differently, right? Because obviously you guys are in the studio like way before these records even come out, but by the time they come out, it's like you guys are sometimes like exhausted of those tracks and want to start something new. So it's always cool to hear like, all right, this EP is coming out and you guys are jumping right in and already starting to work on the next one, which will be out later this year, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes. Usually tired of the songs by the time they come out.
Mm-hmm. And are you gonna try to keep that pace? Because obviously 2 releases in a year, that's pretty big. Because sometimes things can get oversaturated. People think that it could be too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is going to be an EP too, probably like a couple of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hoping to work with a label on this one. And I think that would be good to kind of like push it. And yeah, I'm really hyped on these new songs though that we're writing now. So I'm not too worried because I think people will dig them a lot. So.
Hell yeah. That's something awesome to hear. Okay. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the new record, and I hope that everybody who's listening to this takes the time to check it out if they haven't already. The stars will look down upon us. Super awesome. But I just want to shift gears and talk about Broken Vow. I first saw Broken Vow in Sweet Valley, Pennsylvania for the One Step Closer record release, which was a cool show. I think back about that whole show often just because it was in such an interesting venue in a place that I'd never been to before. And I was always just so surprised that so many people came out to this one area. And even talking to some of my friends that lived in the area, they're like, yeah, like we don't ever come out here. This is like a super rare occasion. But
Yeah.
just curious from your perspective, like what was that whole day like for you?
Yeah, that was sick. Um, well, we all drove down. I think most of us all drove down in Harrison's van. I think it was like 3.5 hours or so. And yeah, I remember like pulling up and walking inside and was like shit, like this is the venue, like this is crazy. And yeah, just like a super big space with and there's like the fire trucks in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then I remember like when we like went on stage to play, like looking out at the audience, that was like the first time I really like looked out and it looked like a sea of people. Because that was definitely like the biggest show that I've played. And like that I've played in general, I guess. And yeah, like once we started, like I was pretty nervous at first, and like once we started, I was just kind of like just like in it. And that was like the first time like filmed by Hey 56 too. So that was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he had like the moving drum camera and stuff.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't do that anymore, which I'm curious about because I haven't seen him do it in a long time because I've seen him live live. I've seen him filming it at a couple of shows since then, and I haven't seen it.
I think he just did it for like bigger shows. I don't know if maybe he just dropped it altogether though.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed that because just the obviously it's like moving, but it's very subtle. But I just think it just makes the video a little more interesting.
Yeah, it's really nice aesthetic.
Okay, well, yeah, that was like a really awesome show. I was happy to finally be able to see Broken Vow, but you guys just put out a split. And I'm just curious, how that was for you to record your side of the split.
Yeah, that was the first time that I recorded drums for Broken Vow because I joined in October, I think it was
Mm-hmm.
last year. So that was exciting. Went pretty smoothly, I think. It was like kind of a while ago, at least in my time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we recorded everything in like a day, pretty sure. I think like Tommy wrote the songs mostly, and we kind of had the recordings, and we just kind of like learned the parts and just kind of like changed them a little bit, and then went in and just kind of banged them out, I guess.
Oh yeah, and shout out to Set Straight on the other side of that EP, which is pretty cool. And you guys are heading to Canada, which is pretty crazy to think about because I feel like I'm not surprised because I've been such a fan of Broken Vow, and seeing you guys get these like bigger opportunities, I think it's really awesome and it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like looking back, even when I joined, like I don't think any of us expected all of this. Like a few months later, it's pretty crazy. Like the time frames that the time frame that like things escalated.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be cool too for you guys to be in Canada and playing the same day as Set Straight. So that'd be cool to. I'm not sure what the set times will be like, but it'd be cool to have you guys back to back.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Okay, and I'm sure people are aware at this point. More recently, Sound and Fury announced their lineup, and Broken Vow was on it. Which I had heard about through some of the members like leading up to it, and I was happy for you guys to hear that because Sound and Fury is such a popular festival, and they always do good stuff. So the fact that they asked you guys to be on it, I thought that was like a really cool thing. But what was your reaction like when you found out that you were playing Sound and Fury?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was like I think we were all like super hyped for sure. But especially like when we saw the lineup, we were just like, this is like crazy lineup. Like perfect lineup. And yeah, it feels kind of crazy to be a part of that.
And have you ever been to a Sound and Fury?
No, I haven't. I've only been to California once when I was like 13 or so.
Oh wow, okay.
So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's
It's
pretty crazy flying over and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool experience for you guys. It's going to be, insane because I think this is the first time that they've done it like outdoors. And I'm not
Sick.
sure if you're like familiar with where they're having it, but they do like other festivals there. Like Camp Flogna is done in the same area. And I'm just curious what the whole setup's going to be like. But just thinking about Santa Fe being outside, it's definitely going to be an interesting thing. I'm curious to see how it's all going to run.
It's gonna be cool. Yeah, I didn't hear that it was outside. I've always wanted to play like outside festival. I feel like that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that gives me like Warped Tour vibes, or I think about Coachella because that's like an outside thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully the weather will be really nice because I know it's like the middle of summer. Everybody's thinking it's going to be really hot, but there are those rare days in the summer where the weather's just really nice and it's like kind of unbelievable. I'm hoping that's what the vibes are like during Santa Fe weekend.
Does it rain a lot in the summer there?
No, rain out here is really rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it rains, everyone forgets how to drive, and it could even be not even like heavy rain. It's like if it's just like starts to sprinkle, people like freak out and don't know what to do. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it's what I've heard, like in like the South, like when it snows, like even if there's like a just like an inch, they like cancel everything.
that'd be nice.
Maybe that's like there too.
But that's cool. I'm happy that Broken Vow is going to be on Sound and Fury. And Sound and Fury returning because people got to remember that it had to take a couple years off because they definitely had 2020 planned, but that had to get scrapped due to the pandemic. And then even with 2021, it was so up in the air because nobody knew what the vibes were going to be like, if it was going to be safe enough to even hold an event like that. And, by the time people realize like, oh shit, like here we are in the summer and things are safer and things are actually happening, right? Like, actual like events, like, concerts and stuff were actually going on. It was, just too late to even try to throw something like that together. And still, even at that time, a lot of people still didn't feel safe to travel, to still be in an environment like that. But here we are, right? The last one was 2019, and here we are in 2022. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, like went by fast, but it also feels like an eternity.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's because I'm older. I think time just moves way faster these days. 'Cause, yeah, when I think back to the whole start of the pandemic, and here we are in 2022, and yeah, it's still a thing, but it doesn't like I don't think anybody ever thought that it would be like a thing for this long. Because I still laugh at the early days when it was just like, oh yeah, we're going to close Disneyland for 2 weeks and then we'll be okay and we'll just reopen. But I think I literally think this week was the first time Disneyland has been pretty much back to the way it was before the pandemic. Like nobody has to, like, there's no mask required for employees or for guests, and it just seemed like honestly like a normal vibe. I was telling you before we recorded the podcast, I was at Disneyland yesterday, and I didn't even think about it in real time, but yeah, it was literally just like how it was before the pandemic happened, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Like it's only like 2 years, and I guess you'll look back and be like, oh, that was just 2 years, but it was like so much happened and like so different, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. It was definitely weird to live through like such a life-changing thing, since the majority of people I knew had never been through a pandemic like that, and having to deal with lockdowns and all the drama with that. And then even since it was such a unknown thing when it first happened, just being so like worried about, oh shit, am I going to get it? Am I going to die?
Yeah,
that I thought that for a while, but then I kind of realized like, okay, if I get it and die, there's not really much I can do about it, right? Maybe I'll get to exit the simulation and get a restart or something.
Yeah.
but
Well,
for you, how did you handle it?
the whole pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, I didn't think it affected me at the time much. I was just
Hmm.
kind of chilling. Like especially in high school, I spent a lot of time by myself, just like out in nature, like in the woods, and writing music. Spent like a lot of time writing. So it didn't feel like too much different. Like I obviously like, couldn't hang out with people, and that
Hmm.
sucked. Couldn't like go out and like do things really, but I guess on like a personal side, it didn't feel too different. Just kind of nice to not have to worry about like school or work that much, and just have time to go out and go for walks and just just work on art and music and stuff.
For sure. Yeah. I'm, happy to hear that you're able to get through it that way. Just kind of be able to just do the stuff that you're doing. Um, as far as like, being out in nature, are there like cool spots in your area to go out and just kind of observe?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of trails and a lot of like foresty areas and good amount of like mountain peaks and stuff. Yeah, Connecticut's pretty beautiful in that sense.
Yeah. I've only been to New Haven. I definitely need to go back and do a little more sightseeing because when I was in New Haven, it was just for like I wasn't there for that long to be honest. It was like half a night. We literally showed up because we were passing through and we needed to just have like a break in our drive because it was just like a long drive. So I suggested New Haven because I wanted to try their pizza. But we got into town like super late, and some of the people that I was with were just so annoying, and I was just over it. I was like, all right. I was like, I don't want to do anything. I was like, I'm not trying to be the party pooper, but once we get to the Airbnb, I just want to sleep. Like, I don't care if you guys go out and do other shit without me. I just want to sleep. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm not even sure what they did. I think they went out, but I just slept in our Airbnb and hoped that I didn't get murdered because it was weird because like we had like it was like an older house and there was like I guess like a skeleton key, like one key worked for every door in the house, like including like the front door.
Oh wow.
So I was just like, I was just hoping, like, okay, I'm in this place that I've never been to before. Like, the only people that know that I'm here aren't with me at this moment. So if somebody were to like, sneak in and murder me, like, it would be a wrap. Um, but
Did you book that place like the night of, or was that in advance for a while?
I think it was in advance. I don't know. I didn't handle that aspect of the trip. If I'm being honest, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because it was weird because we got okay, now I'm trying to remember. I remember what happened. So yeah, we had it booked in advance and we had plans to do stuff in New Haven, like get pizza and stuff, but we got stuck on the Long Island Expressway trying to leave Long Island because we'd never been there before. So we left Long Island like around like 5 or 6, which was like the worst idea because we were literally stuck on the expressway for so long. I remember we were stuck on the expressway. We were under some bridge and I was starving. So I had time to get out of the car, walk to the corner store, get in line, order a sandwich, leave the shop, and our car was still in the same spot on the expressway. So I remember that happening. But by the time we got to our Airbnb, yeah, it was just so late, and I was just so annoyed of the people that I was with. So I was just like, I don't want to do anything.
That's
But
wild.
yeah, it was definitely crazy. It was something that we didn't plan for, right? To be stuck on this freeway for so many odd hours. Um, but that's just how things go. Sometimes not everything's going to go according to plan.
Definitely not.
Okay, and I'm just curious about you growing up. Did you always live in Connecticut?
Yeah, I was born in this town, Granby, and when I was around 4, I moved to West Hartford, and I've lived there ever since.
And what is that area like?
It's pretty nice. I kind of live right in between, like the center. with like a bunch of like stores, and has like a little bit of a city vibe, like a small section of it. And then the other direction is kind of this other like corner spot. You can like hang out and stuff, but that goes right through like a not like a highway, but like a small like a route or whatever. But yeah, it's nice. It's like in the center of a bunch of towns that have like you could pretty much find anything within like 20 minutes. So it's a nice place. And shows aren't like too far, like venues. It's like around Connecticut. It's like not longer than an hour from me. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, that is always nice. I remember sometimes me and my friends would travel out to Las Vegas for shows, and that's like at shortest it was like 3.5 hours one way, and sometimes we would do like the round trip in one day, and it was the most exhausting thing. So it's always nice when I hear that the drive to a show is like an hour under one way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it's pretty manageable when you think about it. Because if you just depending on where you live, driving across town, might take you 45 minutes. So to drive to a show, where something cool's happening, I think that's totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when I was younger, like, and I didn't have a license, anything over like half an hour like felt like way too far for someone to drive me. But now that I obviously like drive, it's like an hour. It's like, oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I used to like when there were local shows happening, there were times where I couldn't find a ride, so I'd have to take like public transit across town, and it sucked because I just hated taking the public transit. But it was something that I had to do to get to the show because that's how much I wanted to be there. And there were times too where I went knowing that I didn't have a ride home. I was just like, all right, I'm going to figure it out. Like worst case scenario, I'm willing to walk home, but I'm going to go to this show and hope that there's a friend there that's willing to take me or drop me off somewhere nearby my house on their way home. And somehow it always worked out. Thankfully, people were nice enough to let me hitch a ride with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that reminds me in high school, I was like really into like kind of like hiking and like being in the woods, like I was saying. And I was like, just wanted to like walk or bike to school, even though my parents were like down to pick me up and stuff. Like I would be like, no, don't come pick me up. I'm gonna like walk back like 40 minutes just because I wanted to.
And why did you have such an interest in that? Because being a kid, and all I wanted to do was get home and play Crash Bandicoot.
Just like with like nature and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly. I think I felt throughout high school like so like boxed in being at school and like being in the classroom all day that being out in nature and like being in the woods was just like a terrible wait, what's that thing? Like a pun or whatever, but like breath of fresh air. But yeah, it was just like a sense of freedom for me, I guess, just being out and even like just like off the trail in the woods. Yeah, I think I was just looking for like that freedom instead of just being like stuck in the classroom all day.
Yeah, I used to have this hiking group that I would go out with back in the day, and I'm not even sure how we fell apart. I think some people grew to like each other, and it was just a weird drama. So we had to break up, which is like the saddest thing. Because it was cool. We would, and this was like, I just moved to Orange County, and I didn't really have any friends, and I just got invited to this hiking group, and some people were hardcore affiliated, some weren't. And I remember we would do a lot of night hikes, which was like, I don't know how it worked out that way, but it did. And I was always down because it was always cool to get to explore like these places at night. And I remember we went to this one hiking trail, and like we had to sneak into like the park to get to the trail. And I remember we were just kind of just chilling on our phones, and we were at the, like, we hiked to the waterfall, and then from there you could climb up to this other trail, which was like a little more advanced. And we found out that that afternoon some girl had like fallen off the trail like above the waterfall and fell to her death. And like we're in the water where this person like had just died, and we're like, oh, this is kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'd run to stuff like that, and then we'd just go and just do the most random hikes at night. But it was just so cool because you know, like I'd be at home watching like, you know, a UFC card, and then I'd get a text like, hey, like we're hiking at 10, be ready. And just to think that like we were all doing something else before 10 p.m., you know, like living our lives, whatever, like people just got off work, and then we all just for some reason thought it was cool to meet up super late at night to just go on these crazy hikes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool to have people to hike with, because I've mostly like hiked myself, but I guess it's a different experience.
You never get creeped out hiking by yourself?
No, I never had. I always just felt super like comforting in the woods and stuff.
You know, I was in Wilkes-Barre a couple, more than a couple months ago. This was back in like the probably like fall, and we were out hiking, and this random guy appeared out of the woods, out of nowhere. I was like, "Hey, do you guys have a lighter?" And it was like me and two friends, and one of my friends had a lighter. So yeah, here you can use this one. But I'm thinking like this guy is like a axe murderer or something crazy, because he's just out here alone in the woods, and he just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But obviously, like we outnumbered him. I could have handled him by myself, but still, I was just a little worried because he like I didn't even hear him walk up. He just kind of like appeared out of thin air. Like this is just kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, because maybe I've seen like, or maybe I watch too much weird shit on TikTok, but I feel like I would be very paranoid to be like out in the woods alone by myself.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I remember in high school it was like crazy. I was like planning on like living in the woods. That was like my dream. I was gonna like move out and like build a hut in the woods. Like
off the grid, or were you still gonna have like a cell phone and stuff?
Yeah. I don't know. Probably wasn't planning on it. Just like off the grid.
And I could not imagine doing that, but obviously you haven't done that. Is that or how did that idea fade away?
Yeah, I guess it kind of did fade, but who knows? Maybe someday it will.
Oh, it's still a possibility. That's something that you would do.
I don't know. Maybe. I'd still like to live near the woods, or maybe like a farm or something. A little less intense.
Yeah, I'm definitely the complete opposite. I need my technology. They definitely got me with that. I'm definitely attached to my computer. That's like the main thing. As long as I have my computer, put me anywhere.
What's instead of your phone, you take computer?
Yeah, I don't really care about the phone. Well, I could talk to everybody that I talk to on my phone. I can talk to on my computer. You hit me up on Instagram. I'll use the web browser version of Instagram.
Underrated web browser version.
Yeah, if you want to call me, I'll just patch you into the Discord. We can figure it out.
Yeah, true. Make it work.
Yeah, because I don't need the instant gratification of oh shit, here's a text, like let me respond right away. It's like I'll get back when I have time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then I bet if I didn't have my phone, I probably would have more free time. I'd probably be a little more productive, because there are times where I'm like, all right, I got X amount of minutes to the next thing that I have to do. Like, let me just lay down and watch some TikTok. And it's just like, and it's a lot of it's a lot of similar shit that I've seen before, right? They're they do such a good job of curating your For You page that you see a lot of similar stuff. So a lot of that wasted time, like it just doesn't need to happen, but it's fun. It's entertaining. Like I know it's so bad because I'm like, fuck, like I've seen this girl shake her ass like this so many times. Like why do I keep watching this? But
are those like those like Japanese singers that you post on Instagram or whatever? I was wondering what's up with that.
Oh, those are some are Japanese, some are Korean. It's a little mix of everything, but 90% of the time they're just like people from my favorite K-pop groups.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Speaking of K-pop, I'm going to see Twice next weekend, 2 nights in a row. Shout out to Alexis from Florida. It's going to be a wild time.
Cool.
Yeah, but I need to. Yeah, without my phone, I'd be a little more like I'm pretty productive to begin with, just with doing the podcast and constantly working on that behind the scenes. But without that, I'd probably be a little more efficient, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, do you have any weird vices like that?
Not too much. I've definitely gotten more attached to my phone than I wish I am, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. Well, they make it so fun and entertaining. So it's like, I don't blame anyone for being like that, because I totally get it. Like, I have a pretty good will where I try not to be on it for the most part, but just those small little windows where I have free time, I'm just like, all right, I'm like fiending for it. Like, let me go see what's going on. But yeah, like if I showed someone my For You page, like we could swipe through like the first 10 videos and they would be very similar. But somehow they're all still very entertaining. It's so strange.
Yeah. I wish I had more time to just that I could like let myself just like lie down. But I'm always like so motivated, and like I don't like put that time in my schedule to like relax. I just like one after another.
Yeah, so sometimes you definitely do need that time, because there's been days where, like even like yesterday, right? I went to work, went straight to watch Doctor Strange, and then went straight to Disneyland. And in that chunk of time, there's like other things that I also want to do, but I'm like, fuck, I gotta, like, I have these tickets, like I have to watch this movie because I want to see it, but then also like I'm doing this Doctor Strange podcast the following day, and if I don't watch it, I can't do the podcast, and then I let my co-host down, then I let everybody else down who's expecting that episode. So that's like this, that's my train of thought. So I'm like, fuck, I have to do that, right? And then get out the movie. I didn't even plan to go to Disneyland. I had like other shit that I wanted to do, right? Some personal shit. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm out of the movie. Check that off the list. I'm gonna go home and finally get to do some things that I've been wanting to do all week. But then I get a phone call like, hey, let's go to Disneyland. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm paying thousands of dollars to have this pass. I got to put it to use. And also I haven't seen Andy all week. Like, let's go hang out and kind of catch up and see what we can get into. So I go do that, and that kind of sets back all the other things I wanted to do. But then I get home, it's like almost 11:30, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm home, I'm finally can do the things I want to do. But then I'm like, fuck, I've been so busy. I just been thinking about so much bullshit like all day. I was like, I gotta just not do anything and take some time for myself before I jump back into like all these other things that have been occupying my mind before I go crazy. And also to like just kind of find some peace, because for me to want to try to operate at my best level, like I can't go so long without having just like some time to myself, even if it's not doing like the things that I want to do. If I can just not do anything for a little bit, just to kind of have like a little reset, I always find that to be very beneficial to myself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, whenever I'm like tired out and I could just like lie down for a minute, it feels like so nice.
What about when you're going to be on tour, right? These like stringy days with Montclair, when you're traveling with Broken Vow, how do you try to find that peace? Because I know it can be hard, right? Because you're like constantly around people, and it's fun, right? For the most part, right? Being on tour is cool, getting to travel, play shows, see new people. But sometimes I know like your social meter can be full, and you're just like, all right, like I'm kind of done. I just need some alone time. Like, how do you deal with that?
We haven't played more than like a weekender yet, so we'll have to see I guess how it goes. But you're
about to figure it out, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I guess, I mean, a lot of tours just like driving and lying down, which I feel like is like really tiring for some reason. Like finally like get out of the car after like driving the whole day, and I'll just be like feel so tired. but obviously pumped to like play a show. So yeah, I don't know, maybe put a podcast on or just listen to some relaxing music or watch something.
For sure. Yeah. I always find whenever I travel, I always get so excited to be in places that I don't normally get to see, because I always find it fascinating that it's like, wow, there's life going on over here on this side of the country that I don't even know about. And because obviously, like living in California, this is what I think normal is. But when I'm traveling to the East Coast, I'm seeing a lot of these, bigger cities, or even some of the smaller cities that we pass through, and I'm just like, damn, like there's people, like kids, adults, that this is their every day, and it's so interesting to me, just because it's so different from what I get to experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anytime I go into like a big city like New York City or something, I'm always like kind of like shocked, like I just like you, like I don't think about like people are living like this, and it's so different, but it feels like so lively and exciting.
Hell yeah. It's crazy. That's why after things started opening up again, I wanted to try to take advantage of seeing more, because during the pandemic I talked to so many people from so many different areas, and I was like, man, I haven't been there yet. Like I need to get out there, and I've done a bit of traveling this year. Still got a couple more trips planned, but next year I want to take it to another level. I want to go international and try to go to like some different countries and do cool stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, try to see what hardcore's like on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that and like see what's different and what's the same.
100%. Well, Max, this has been an awesome time. I'm happy to have had you on the podcast. I'm a fan of Broken Vow. Shout out to Broken Vow. Go see them on their May tour if you're in the area. Go stream their split with Set Straight. Catch them at Sand and Fury. Montclair drop today. Do yourself a favor and go stream the new record. Go to their record release on June 3rd. But before we sign off, is there anything else you would like to say?
Just thanks so much for taking the time to chat. It's been awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for everybody who tuned in, and we'll be back soon.